The genome and perhaps one or two proteins penetrate into the cytoplasmic itself. For animal viruses, however, the entire virion, or at least the nucleocapsid, typically enter the cytoplasm by endocytosis, and then must be uncoated. Therefore, a few bacteriophages, such as the envelope phage, whose entire nucleocapsid also enters the cell. However, differences between virus replication in prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells go far beyond the mechanics of viral penetration. Prokaryotes do not show compartmentation of the biosynthetic process. The genome of the bacterium relates directly to the cytoplasm of the cell. Transcription into the mRNA can lead directly into the translation, since the process transcription and translation are not carried out in separate compartments. On the other hand, animal cells, being eukaryotic, show compartmentation, DNA replication, and transcription. Of the genome into mRNA occur in the nucleus, whereas translation occurs in cytoplasm. This compartmentation has an impact on where animal viruses replicate. For instance, a DNA virus that uses host polymerases must replicate in the nucleus. Therefore, we can expect differences in replication strategies between viruses that multiply in the nucleus. For example, herpes virus, and those that multiply in the cytoplasm, for example, pox virus. In addition, viruses that replicate in the nucleus that must be transported there. Furthermore, the transcripts from eukaryotic genes must be processed and transported to the cytoplasmic before they can be used as mRNA. Section 7.12. This processing usually involves splicing out introns as well as adding the poly-A tail polyadenylation to the 3' and methylated guanosine triphosphate, called the cap, to the 5'. The cap is required for binding of the mRNA to ribosome. The difference between the way ribosome recognizes mRNA allows prokaryotes to use polycistronic mRNA, whereas eukaryotes use monocistronic mRNA. Note therefore that the genome of positive strand RNA viruses eukaryotes must typically be in a process state with the virion if this RNA is inserted directly as mRNA. In most cases, however, the poly-A tail in the positive strand RNA virus genome is not added by a processing event, but is actually encoded by the genome. Capping may be achieved in a number of ways. Of course, many viral RNAs are copied normally in the nucleus during synthesis from a DNA template, just as the host mRNA is capped. When the viral mRNAs are synthesized in the cytoplasm, however, the capping is carried out by proteins encoded by the virus itself. It is fascinating that influenza virus, whose RNA genome is replicated in the nucleus, actually has a mechanism of snatching caps from newly synthesized host mRNA. However, splicing of introns from eukaryotic pre-mRNA can only take place in the nucleus using host machinery. Also, all protein synthesizing machinery of the eukaryotic cell, the ribosome's tRNA molecules and accessory components, is in the cytoplasm. Classification of animal viruses. Various types of animal viruses are illustrated. We have discussed the principles by which viruses are classified. Note that there are many more kinds of envelope animal viruses and envelope bacteria viruses than envelope bacteria viruses. This doubtless relates to the differences in host exteriors. Most of the animal viruses that have been studied in any detail are those that have been amenable to cultivation and cell cultures. Animal viruses are classified according to the same schemes of bacteria viruses, including the Baltimore classification system, which classifies viruses on the basis of genome types and reproductive strategy. Animal viruses are known in all categories, and many of these will be discussed in Chapter 16. Consequences of virus infection in animal cells. Viruses can have varied effects on cells. Lytic infection results in the destruction of the host cell. Several other possible effects may follow viral infection of animal cells. In the case of envelope viruses, release of virions, which occurs by a kind of budding process, may be slow, and the host cell may not be lysed. The cell may remain alive and continue to produce viruses over a long period of time. Such infections are referred to as persistent infections. Viruses may also cause latent infection of the host. In a latent infection, there is a delay between infection by the virus and the appearance of symptoms. Fever, blisters, cold sores caused by the herpes simplex virus result from a latent viral infection. The symptoms reappear sporadically as the virus emerges from latency. The latent stage in viral infection of the animal cell is generally not due to integration of the viral genome into the genome of the animal cell, as is the case with latent infections by temperate bacteriophages. A number of animal viruses participate in the events that change a cell from a normal one to a cancer or tumor cell. Cancer is a cellular phenomenon of uncontrolled growth. Many cells in a mature animal, although alive, do not divide extensively apparently because of the presence of growth-inhibiting factors that prevent them from inhibiting cell division. These factors are under genetic control, as noted in section 9.4. Infection by certain types of animal viruses leads to a process called transformation, during which growth becomes uncontrolled. Rapidly growing cells pile up into accumulations that are visible in culture and foci of infection. Cancerous cells in an animal body grow profusely, leading to a formation of large masses of cells called tumors. The term neoplasm is often used in the medical literature to describe malignant tumors. Not all tumors are seriously harmful. The body is able to wall off some tumors so that they do not spread. Such non-invasive tumors are said to be benign. Other tumors are called malignant, invade the body and destroy normal body tissue and organs. In advanced stages of cancer, malignant tumors may develop the ability to spread to other parts of the body and initiate new tumors, a process called metastasis. How does a normal cell become cancerous? The development of cancer is clearly a multi-step process. There seem to be many different causes of cancer, including mutations arising either spontaneously or as a result of exposure to certain chemicals called carcinogens, or by physical stimuli such as ultraviolet radiation or X-ray. Certain viruses also bring about the genetic change that results in initiation of tumor formation. The events that cause cancer lead to a loss of cells' normal control of its growth. Events that cause cancer lead to a loss of cells' normal control of its growth. The growth and division of normal cells is regulated by at least one type of genes. The first type, called the proto-oncogenes, promotes growth, but they are controlled by the second type, the growth-restraining tumor suppressor genes. Changes in either or both types can lead to uncontrolled cell growth, and therefore to cancer. The initiation event can be the activation of proto-oncogene into the oncogene. A gene that causes a tumor, or the inactivation of a tumor suppressor gene. Once initiation has occurred, the potentially cancerous cell may remain dormant, but under certain conditions, generally involving some environmental alteration, it may become converted to tumor cell, a process called promotion. Once a cell has been promoted to a cancerous condition, continued cell division can result in a formation of tumor. Although the ability of viruses to cause tumors in animals was proven many years ago, the relationship of viruses to cancer in humans has, in most cases, been certain. It is difficult to prove the viral origin of the human cancer because of the difficulties of carrying out the necessary experimentation. However, it is well established that certain kinds of human tumors are strongly associated with infection by specific viruses. A summary of some of the human cancers with definite viral origins is given. In some cases, the role of virus plays may be indirect. For instance, it may increase the frequency of the particular type of mutation or interfere with normal cellular processes. In the cell it infects, this is almost certainly the case of the Epstein-Barr virus and lymphoma, or Kitts lymphoma. In addition, some viral infections can lead indirectly to an increased risk of cancer, apparently by weakening the immune system's ability to detect and destroy transformed cells. This might be why infection with the retrovirus that causes AIDS increases the risk of developing certain cancers. Retrovirus. As we have mentioned, retrovirus contain an RNA genome in the virion but replicate through a DNA intermediate. The term retro means backward, and the name of this class of virus is derived from the fact that these viruses appear to transfer information backward from RNA to DNA. These viruses use enzyme reverse transcriptase to carry out the interesting information transfer. The retrovirus are interesting for several other reasons. For example, they were the first viruses shown to cause cancer and have been studied most extensively for their carcinogenic characteristics. Also, one retrovirus, human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, causes acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, AIDS. And although it has been known only since the early 1980s, it has become a major public health problem worldwide. In addition, the retrovirus genome can become integrated into the host genome by way of DNA intermediate. And this integration process is being studied as a means of introduction foreign genes into host, a process called gene therapy. Some properties of the retrovirus are like those of RNA viruses and others are like those of DNA viruses. Retrovirus resemble a considerable extent movable genetic element and sometimes considered to be encapsulated cellular transposable elements. We should note that the use of the reverse transcriptase